Hey guys, welcome back to Fusion Fat Loss and Nutrition Transform You, the online program. It's been an amazing journey so far. I hope you're excited about what you've learned and most importantly that you're actioning the information that you're learning and starting to build a sustainable program that enables you to transform yourself through science, education, support and mentorship that allows you to link your dreams to your goals. That's what the whole program is about. So today we're going to be discussing nutrient timing. And as that little picture above, nutrient timing, is it necessary? Well, we're soon going to find out, aren't we? What is nutrient timing? Well, it's the what, when, and why of what you eat to allow your body to undertake the transformation that you want. So nutrient timing is about the 24/7, 365. Yep, so it's about what you eat every day of the week, every day of the month, every day of the year. That leads into the decades that enable your metabolism to be altered to enable you to become the fat-burning weapon that you wish you were. So without further ado, let's look at moving on. So what you've learnt so far. Most importantly, let's review. Body composition changes and optimizing health in synergy requires the right amount of nutrients, the right type of nutrients, the correct training method to optimize the environment for adaptation or change, meaning the way you look, and the mind massaging. It's vitally important. So let's review. So the right amount of nutrients. So how much of what you need to eat. So remember going back through your fats, your carbohydrates, your proteins. I gave you visuals of how much you should be using as a starting block, a blueprint to enable you to build meal construction. The right type of nutrients. So yes, you need to eat proteins, you need to eat carbs, you need to eat fats. But what are the good fats? Your omega-3, your omega-6, those essential fats. The correct training methods to optimize the environment for adaptation or change. Again, Volkswagen to Porsche, silkworm to butterfly. We talked about the importance of weight training to elicit the body shape changes. We talked about the right type of aerobic or cardio work, HIIT, ICE, intense cardiovascular exercise to optimize fat loss, specifically fat loss around the belly. And mind massaging, the first 3 weeks, I specifically aligned only to where your head is. And again, I will state with utter, validation that the first 3 weeks of the program is where you will win this game or you will fail. So if you're falling off the wagon already, you need to go back week 1, week 2, week 3 and critique and be honest with yourself. But did you know this? It is also critical to nourish and not punish. Around training, yes, anabolic means building nutrient timing. So again, without further ado, we need to look at what we eat, when we eat, why we're eating, and how what we eat, when we eat, and why we're eating will enable your body to transform. Synergy infusion. Everything we've talked about so far, these things, what to eat, how much to eat, what type of training, mind massaging, leads to this. It's a synergy, it's a fusion. Every single ingredient has to work together to optimize the other. Without one of those ingredients, everything will not get you where you want to. You'll get some formal result, but it'll never be your optimum. You'll never get to the ceiling that you're setting yourself. You'll never become that version of who you are. So again, go back to week 2, video, week 2, and it's got the equation, that vital equation. And what you'll see there is a multiple ingredient recipe. And as I stated ever so frequently in that video, without one, you render failure as a dead set positive. So that's not what you're chasing, is it? Synergy infusion. It's not about nutrition and exercise alone. It is about the fusion or synergy of putting it all together. As I've just stated, one without the other will elicit response. However, it won't be optimal. And most importantly, it won't be sustainable. And I hope to God that, again, at this stage of the game, week 9 of this amazing program, that you're realizing this is about forever, not for a short-term fix. So provide fuel, building blocks, the training stimulus or stress to optimize the body transformation. So feed it, supply the stress or the training, and allow the body to adapt. That's what that sentence is all about. So as it says there, or the anabolic environment. Remember, anabolic means building up. So you're changing your body shape. You're increasing your lean muscle mass to optimize fat burning. As it states there, or the anabolic building environment to increase your lean muscle mass, where again, remember, you burn all fat and carbohydrate in your muscle mass. Yes equals protein synthesis, or increased muscle tissue enables you more fat burning. Isn't that fantastic? And isn't that what everyone is after? I mean, we all have fat tissue that we could all lose, and I say all. So in the perfect environment, if we get our training right, we get our regularity of training optimally sought to us, we get our nutrition right, we enable this magic to take place. Geez, we get lucky, don't we? There's no luck at all, guys. It's all about progression, tenacity, discipline, desire, groundhog. It's doing the same things over and over again regularly that enables your metabolism to become the fat burning weapon that we all want and desire. There's no luck to it. So nutrient timing is not just pre and post training nutrition. It was once thought that, there was a specific window of opportunity, and in some degree that still stands true. However, we're finding now with further and further research that yes, pre and post training nutrition is vitally important, but so is the rest of the day, the week, the month, the year. So we'll look at all of this. It is all about fueling, nourishing, and aiding in recovery, repair, and enabling you to redo and the manufacture of better body proteins. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So this means all your meals are vital, not just the one before you train, not just the one after you train, but every single time that fork is pitched and aims towards your gob, it has to supply vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, magical, fundamental fuels that allow your body to be nourished and not punished. So why is meal timing so very important? Maybe these things might get you interested. If you get your nourishment right, this is what you can expect. An increase in energy. Yes, you perform optimally. And your health is amazing. Increased muscle growth. So if you've got a little or a tad more muscle tissue, what do you do better? You burn fats. You burn carbohydrates. Increased body fat loss. So if you've got less body fat, greater health, and unbelievable self-worth. You start to respect yourself and you start to feel mentally and emotionally great. And as it states there, improved psychological advantage. Yes, great relationship with both food, exercise, and most importantly, yourself. There's nothing better than feeling great, looking great, and performing like you've never ever performed before. And that, my friends, is what nutrient timing is about. You can't wing this. You can't hope it works. Transforming your body is an art and a science. It takes knowledge, it takes mentorship, it takes patience, it takes tenacity, it takes discipline, it takes self-action, and it takes you to be the harshest critic there is. You have to be honest with yourself. No good talking to me or coming in regularly and saying, oh, it's not happening for me, and you're eating at 50 or 60%. You need to be eating at 80, 90, 95%. And the bigger your goal, the greater your nutrition has to be. Because again, as we've just seen, it's 24/7. It's not just, okay, well, I've had a workout, I'll have a protein shake, and that's the job done. Every other meal of every other day needs to be there to support the reconstruction of your metabolism and the ability for that metabolism to elicit an unbelievable physical response, meaning an art and the science of changing the way you look. Nutrient timing benefits. Fuels your workout. So the key here is this, guys. Every time you go into the panel beater, so the weight training room, or every time you head towards doing a cardiovascular session that's going to optimize your fat burning, you have to be fueled to perform at your very best. If you're going in there at 8:30 in the morning to train and you haven't eaten since the night before, how can you expect that your performance in the training environment would be optimal? You're not fueled, so therefore that you're going into the event half-cocked with half-empty petrol tanks. So your performance can't be optimal. Every time you lift a weight, you need to be chasing greater cellular damage. Yes, you're damaging the cells. This is why you see in brackets after fuel and workouts, right here, team, it says recovery, repair. The training is doing is breaking down and providing the stimulus for your body to recover and repair. But that recovery and repair, it comes from the fuels, the foods that you're supplying. No peaks and troughs in energy. So what this is saying, during the day, how many of you hit a wall and you absolutely feel smashed? There's no effervescence, there's no vitality, you don't feel robust, you feel fatigued and absolutely smashed. Again, you're not fueling your body's abilities to repair, rebuild, reconstruct, and enabling you to be thoroughly fueled to redo, to undertake that stimuli again. Blood glucose control. If you eat correctly, it enables your blood glucose levels to stay at equilibrium or homeostasis. Simply means normal levels. That prevents your hormones getting peaks and troughs, ups and down, ups and down. Everything we do, we want to stay at a nice, steady, regular thing. So your body goes, yeah, this is cool. I'm cool with this. But every time there's a bip, up, down, there's secretion of hormones, our hormones drop, and this leads to us getting cravings, getting tired, lethargic, so we want to try and control those things. So sensible eating and nourishment. No cravings, no binging. Wow, how good would that be? If you're not there at 3:30 in the afternoon, you're sitting at your desk and all you're thinking about is a double choc muffin and a caramel sundae, or you're looking at bashing on the vending machine to get your next, bag of crisps and chocolate bar. Guys, or the biggest cup of coffee to get that stimulus or, the stimulus, the lift from the caffeine. So again, you can avoid all of that if you have your regular meals that are constructed, protein, carbohydrates, your fats. You've got to get that right to optimize your environment, your metabolism. Protein intake is divided and easy to meet. Remember that for us to ascertain the amount of proteins we need to change our body shape and to enable us to maintain that body shape, we're looking somewhere between probably 1.2 to 1.7 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So that's a number. That's the statistic that the science is showing us. However, I've tried to make it easy for you guys. I need you to start somewhere. This is why. Go back to the food videos and look at the formulas I've given you. The protein servings, 1 palm for girls. Start with a palm for the males. And if it's not enough, increase subtly. It's there. The building blocks you have. It's now up to you to action it, to supply the nourishment to enable you to perform. The nourishment that enables you to perform, to able to recover, able to repair, able to rebuild, and able to construct that body that you're chasing. MPS simply means muscle protein synthesis, building more muscle tissue, which equals more fat burning. We've discussed that over multiple times. The importance of muscle tissue in increasing fat burning. Remember, the only place fats are burnt or oxidized and carbohydrates are burnt or oxidized are in where? Yep, I heard you. Muscle cells. So the more muscle you have, again, ladies, don't have a heart attack and picture some female Hulk. Not at all. Just focus on this at the present stage. The muscle that you currently have, you don't want to be sacrificing. And if you're not eating enough protein, guess what? That's what you're doing. No matter how hard you're training in that panel beater, you are sacrificing muscle tissue through this phenomenon called sarcopenia, muscle tissue waste. This is an aging disease. And you can't stop it, but you can slow it down. Get your proteins right. Every time you chow down on a meal, protein first. Go back to the food charts and look at your serving sizes for protein. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Habitual, you're forming habits. It's the discipline that equals your success. Remember weeks 1, 2, and 3, mind massage, turning habits, intentions into habits. The only way you win this is through discipline, time, tenacity, desire, self-accountability, taking action, doing words. I've said it from week 1. Do. It's not going to happen magically. You can't click your fingers. You can't hope or wish. You have to do it. And the relationship with food and fat loss is sound. If your relationship with food and your body shape is sound, and you know that every day you're doing ticking boxes, nutrition's right, mind massage is right, exercise is right, I'm applying it, and I've got a community of support, guess what? Your results are not a matter of if, but when. The formula is sound and you're acting in it. All of those benefits come from eating and nourishing regularly. The real key to nutrient timing is this. There. Refuel, rebuild, rehydrate, recover, redo. Remember, refuel, rebuild, rehydrate, recover, and then it enables you to do what? To go and do it again. Put that on the fridge. Tattoo that on your forehead. Log it in the front of the mind. If it's in front of mind, you will understand the process of body transformation. Refuel, tick. Rebuild, tick. Rehydrate, tick. Recover, awesome. And then go and do it again. Tick. So how many meals do you need? We've all heard it before. There's a magic number, surely. Is it 3, 4, 5, 6, 12? There is no magic number, guys. Absolutely not. There is no evidence through all of the science that you need to eat 6 meals a day. You need to eat to supply your body with the nourishment it requires. The simple thing is this. If you're eating regularly, meal construction, protein, carbs, omegas, and your performance is improving every time you go into the gym, on a day-to-day basis, when you're not in the gym, just in general life, you're feeling great, you're looking good, your body's transforming, guess what? You're getting everything you need to do what you're doing. So you don't have to change anything. However, once things starts to stop, slow down, or plateau, you need to be looking at what's going on. Your body's adapting. You may have built more muscle tissue. You need to feed that muscle tissue. This is where people go wrong. They stop, there's a plateau, what do? They eat less, they move more. They eat less, they move more. To the point they're moving so much, they've got no energy left to do anymore, and they're eating so little that they've got no fueling to refuel, rebuild, rehydrate, and recover, so their performance drops. All of a sudden, it's way too hard, and what do? They stop. Then all of a sudden, what happens? They gain all their weight back, plus some, because their metabolism is destroyed. So as it says there, there's no evidence that you can force feed your body to increase lean muscle mass or burn more body fat by drip feeding proteins and other nutrients into your system. All that's saying is that, you don't have to eat every hour and a half, every 2 hours, every 3 hours. It is dependent on your goal, your body mass, and whether you're achieving what you want to. Don't try force feeding. If someone's told you to eat 6 times a day, 8 times a day, every 2 hours you've got to eat, and you physically feel like you're going to be sick, don't do it. Your body obviously doesn't need it. But just make sure you're well versed in this. Protein, carbohydrates, the right fats, dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals, off a tree, out the ground, swims the ocean, walks the land. No human interference, or as little as possible. Nutrient timing. However, you must be getting all the nutrients and nourishment you require to what? Yes, you got it. We talked about it. Refuel, rebuild, rehydrate, recover, repeat. It's as simple as that. If you're not refueling, you're not rebuilding, you're not rehydrating, you're not recovering, you're not repeating, so you're not going to build or link the dreams to your goals. It's as simple as that. You must understand you can't have one without the other. Train as much as you want, You'll get stronger. It won't lead to a body shape change. Train as much as you want. As I said, you'll get stronger, but it won't lead to a body shape change. Go on a diet. You'll lose weight, but you won't sustain it because you're undernourished. In most cases, you can't continue to work hard with your training and be on such a low carbohydrate, low calorie diet that enables you to sustain your outcomes. This takes times and skills to master. What works for you, it must fit your schedule and must be easy to follow every day. It's a lifestyle, remember guys. It's not a 6, an 8, a 10, a 12-week fix. It's not. Again, all you're doing there is using willpower and diets. And 95% of dieting fails. Not only do you gain the weight that you lost, you gain more. And the metabolic destruction or damage is horrific. So remember, it's time. None of this or what you want is going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of consistency. It's going to take a lot of discipline. However, at the end of the day, the results can be outstanding and you'll never ever look back. Eating without structure. What the research tells us. This is important. Structure with all things. Training, mind massage, preparation, and life is crucial. Correct? It's not a rhetorical question, isn't it? Is it all important? Everything you do in life has a process. Brushing your teeth, doing your hair, driving your car, making breakfast, going to work, getting out of your car, going up a flight of stairs. Everything has a structure. No difference in regards to body transformation. Your head has to be in the right spot, positive things in, positive things out. Your meal preparation, you have to be prepared so that you're fueling correctly. Your training, the right type of training to elicit the responses that you want for your body shape change. Well, it's just as important with your daily nourishment. Why? Let's look at the science. First, missing a meal once in a while won't be the end of your hard-earned muscle, nor send your metabolism into a crashing chaos or a cataclysmic destruction. However, if it's happening regularly, it's a different story. The reality, guys, is this. Lifestyle means that, again, 80 to 90% of the time, so every 8 or every 9 meals out of 10, spot on. Protein, carbs, omegas, your dietary fiber, your minerals, your electrolytes, it's all there. It's all putting the nice clean data into the greatest machine ever built, you. There's no dietary spam coming in that affects your metabolism. So every 8 or 9 out of 10 meals, you're investing in you. But then what happens, guys? You go out and you have a meal, you have a special occasion, a birthday or a friend's wedding, or you're catching up with friends. It's social life has to exist. And having pizza, having beer, having cake, having pie, having them all is not going to be the end of the world if you have structure. Because the very next time you eat, we'll be back. Protein, carbs, omega-3. However, way too many of you fall off the rails with one meal. So you'll have an entree, you'll have a main meal, you'll have a dessert, you'll have drinks. That's 4 misses. So that's 6 out of 10. That's 60%. That's not going to work for you guys. And you're not doing it once a week. You could be doing it twice a week. You could be doing it 3 times a week. Can you see how you break down? There's no luck involved in what you are asking to achieve. It's structure. Yes. Missing planned meals regularly, weekly, daily, along with unplanned calories and nutrient-poor meal choices, major mistakes and must be worked on to eliminate, or more importantly, to reduce, and to get, most importantly, to take control of and be aware of. The University of Nottingham in England found that irregular meal patterns will lower the thermic effect of food. Thermic effect is the amount of energy your body uses or manufactures to break the food down into usable sources, disrupt glucose metabolism. So we talked about earlier about your hormones going up and down rather than staying in a nice steady state. Increase insulin resistance, meaning that insulin is a hormone that your body uses to transport carbs into your muscles, into your liver. And we know that there's insulin resistance with diabetic community, meaning that your pancreas has to secrete more and more and more insulin to try and get it to do the job it can. And this leads to disease. and create other metabolic disarray. This is bad news because this leads to everything we're not chasing. We don't want to be diseased. We don't want to have insulin resistance. We don't want to have cardiovascular disease. We don't want to have diabetes. And a lot of these things can happen through bad meal choices happening regularly. More bad news. What? There's more. The study continued with this. Irregular eaters have trouble properly adjusting their calorie intake as the days go on, which leads to weight gain over the long term. So haphazard eating patterns lead to fat loss failure. Key, work on building a structure that works for you. So whether it's 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, form some consistency, but understand that the meals you're consuming must supply all the fueling to enable recovery, repair, rehydration, redo. It must allow that. And it must allow that every time you do the redo, so further training, that your performance is optimized. You're not going backwards. If you're going backwards and you feel fatigued, frustrated, absolutely cactus, you've got to ask yourself why. Am I dehydrated? Am I underfueled? Am I just not eating enough to enable me the nourishment to allow everything that I'm trying to do to be met? You have to be asking yourself these questions regularly. Otherwise, it's just like an ostrich with its head in the sand. I don't know why it's happening. It's not happening because you're not reviewing, you're not testing and measuring, you're not keeping any information that you can analyze. So your meal structure leads to your success. Understand, your meal structure leads to your success. And it's not about 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. It's about 24 hours of the day, optimizing your nourishment and your nutrition to allow the greatest machine ever built, you, to perform at its optimal level. I've said before in one of the earlier slides to revisit this. Keep it simple. Stick with the portions to begin with. So go back. This is for a lady. 1 protein serve, 1 serve of your vegetables, 1 serve of your fat, 1 serve of your carbs. So your starchy carbohydrates. Remember, 1 palm. That could be a piece of steak. A massive big handful of mixed leaf vegetables or kale slaw or broccoli, beetroot and carrot. Whatever it is, a handful of broccoli. So you've got those together. You've got a thumb size of extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil or macadamia nut oil, avocado oil, maybe a thumbful of crushed almonds that you've put over the top of that, and a carb serving. So just see that, a palmful of some brown rice, some basmati rice, some couscous, some quinoa, a little bit of sweet potato, pumpkin or jacket potato. A meal is constructed to elicit a powerful metabolic response. Can you see that there's everything in there? You're not missing out on anything vital. This could be a 6 teaspoons of Greek yogurt. This could have a handful there, a palmful of some frozen mixed berries. And here you've got your fats. So you could have some LSA, some flax seeds, some chia seeds, some walnuts crushed on top. See, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go without. You just have to understand how to construct a meal. Because construction means supplying the right information to enable this. And enabling this will enable all of this to work. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, the right data input into the greatest machine ever built. Once again, you. Again, people don't get lucky by looking the way they do. Sure, genetics are involved, no doubt, but there's a hell of a lot more to it than just simple genetics. So nutrient timing defined. The basic concept of nutrient timing is this: to provide more fuel and nutrients or nutrition when you need them most. Great nutrition is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week discipline, and the muscle growth process takes place for many hours after your training has finished. However, it does seem you may prosper more by having even greater nutrition support in and around your training. This is the exciting bit about nutrient timing, and this is where for so long it was just thought that it was just this. Eat right before you train and after you train, and then you could, you could out train your body transformation. You can't do that. All the other meals are just as important. However, there are some really critical aspects to this next sort of slides we'll go through. Your pre-workout nourishment. So most people eat this fuel 1 to 2 hours before the workout. Most recent research tells us this: the pre and post workout meals should not be separated by more than 3 to 4 hours tops. It's now looking about 3 to 6 hours, okay? So again, the science is forever changing. So you've roughly got about a 6-hour window. So if you're training at 8:30 in the morning, you might be eating a really good fuel source. It might be, again, 6 teaspoons of yogurt, a little bit of half a banana, some whey protein powder, maybe a half a teaspoon of chia seeds. You let that sit for an hour to an hour and a half before you train. You get in there and you bust your butt at 8:30. So 7:30, you're eating your yogurt, you're enjoying it. It's giving you the fuel to perform your workout. You get into your workout and you nail it. You work hard, you feel strong, you left nothing in the gym. Nothing. You did your magic. Okay, so there's 1 hour before you trained. Your training might last half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour, so let's say 2. So your next 4 hours after that are just as important, guys. So this is where, after your training, you don't need to force feed. You don't need to whack down a protein shake if you've eaten something before you've trained. However, if you haven't, it's necessary and vitally important then that you're really getting your proteins pumping into you as quickly as you can. However, as I said, if you've eaten before, those 4 hours afterwards are really important times to get some high carbohydrates in. So it might be some more banana, it might be some sweet potato, it might be some pumpkin, it might be some brown rice, it might be some couscous, it might be a jacket potato, it might be Wheat Bix, it might be oats, it might be some sourdough bread. And then you've got your protein, so it might be eggs on sourdough bread with some spinach and some mushrooms and tomatoes, or it might be some brown rice with some broccoli, with some tuna, or some salmon, or some steak, and a whole lot of vegetables, to assist. So it's really important to understand that the metabolic stresses that have taken place through your training, the nourishment we supply around it, just enables your body to work that little more effectively and have the things on tap to band-aid the injuries. And if you're able to get there and band-aid all those injuries that are taking place, it enables the recovery process to happen even quicker. And we know optimally after your weight training that it could be a 24-hour, 48-hour window plus where metabolically your body's working really hard to repair and recover from the training stimulus. However, your pre-workout meal timing really depends on your gastric comfort of the individual, trial and error. So what I'm saying is this: if you've never eaten before you've trained before, and then all of a sudden you go and hook into a big meal before you train, it could be the worst thing you ever do, because you could feel as sick as Rookwood, nauseous, and every repetition you do, you feel like you're going to throw up. That would be not the way to go about it, guys. The thing to look at then is to add a little bit to start. Have a couple of teaspoons of yogurt, a little bit of banana, a little bit of walnuts or chia seeds, and see how you go with that. Again, don't have it too close to training. So work on it to that hour to an hour and a half before, so it can be digested, absorbed, stored, and ready to be used. As it states there, trial and error. It's about the individual. What to eat pre-training. Like all nutrient timing, protein is priority in the pre-training meals, so make sure you get your fix. Carbs, best to stick with your usual low and slow burning sources plus that quality lead protein. So avoid eating too much fat in this intake, as we want to absorb the nutrition to have available for our workout. Fat slows down absorption. So again, don't go having too much fat. As I said, a half a teaspoon of chia seeds here, an almond or two crushed over the top, a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of olive oil, not a lot. So just enough to enable the nourishment to be there. Doing panel beating or intense training totally fasted is not optimal. So this is what this is about now, guys. If you're getting up at to train at 8:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and you're just sort of setting the alarm as close to your training as possible, and then getting in there and training, it's one of the worst things the science tells us now. For many, many moons ago, it was believed that training fasted was optimal for fat loss. However, it may be the case for the very, 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 very deconditioned or really unfit people that have done no exercise before. It may not be so important at the start, but guys, the more you progress, it becomes vital to be able to do what? Let's go back and look at it. Refuel, rebuild, rehydrate, recover, redo. You've got to be in a position to be able to refuel for performance, because if you're not performing, if you're sub-maximal performance, you're going to end up with sub-maximal results. So it's that simple. So again, try to make sure the further and further you advance yourself that you're getting some good proteins into your system at least. But a meal construction that involves a bit of carb, a bit of fat, and a little bit of fat will do you some wonders long term. So this is what nutrient timing has shown us. This magic is insane. I've got there nutrient timing. So eating the right fuels before and after training, nutrient timing, lean muscle mass, body fat, and body fat percentages. Let's have a look. So with nutrient timing, just having some food before and after you train, look at the differences over a 12-week period. The people who did look after their nutrition around training alone got these results. You know, up to 3 kilos increase in lean muscle mass. So whereas it's about 1.5 kilos tops just with a training program. So you're nearly getting 100% improvement. Look at this though, body fat. These individuals' body fat percentages went up. These went down by, again, nearly 0.5 kilo. So we've got here 3.5 kilos. So you have 3.5 kilo lean body mass turnaround. That is amazing. And look at the body fat percent drop with nutrient timing. 1% decrease over 12 weeks in body fat drop. So you've lost total body fat, you've increased lean muscle mass, and your body fat percentages drop with no other change in the training. The training was the same. The only difference was having some proteins before you trained and proteins after with some carbohydrate. Look at that. That's not luck, that's science. And there's no luck in science. It's a process. So what to eat post-training, the top 5 guidelines. So again, if you haven't eaten before you've trained, eating soon after training becomes really important. 45 minutes to 60 minutes or as soon after is ideal with the intake of pre-workout meal. There is less urgency, as it says, but it's a no-brainer. Eat as soon as possible. So if you haven't had a pre-training workout, this is what it's saying. There is more urgency to this post-training meal. If you have eaten an hour and a half or 2 before you've trained, it's less urgent. Eat proteins and carbohydrate, but very little to no fat. Proteins are crucial. The carb thing seems to depend on your goals, so the debate rages whether more is better. However, I'm suggesting the further advanced you get, the more important carbohydrates become. If you're really early stages and you're really deconditioned at the moment, you haven't exercised for a long period of time and you're not in the body you want to, then carbohydrates at this stage aren't going to be of vital importance. They become more and more and more important over time. What is of most critical importance or crucial as it states is protein. So getting some protein in after training is really important. The harder the train, the more frequent you train, and the older your training age, so how long you've been training, the more important your carbohydrates become. Remember, when in doubt, go back to the portions in those meals I've already supplied again in this presentation earlier, fingers, thumbs, palms, etc., and go back over your proteins, carbohydrates, and fat seminars. Eating carbs after training, why are they important? Helps restore your blood sugars. Remember, we store carbohydrates in our muscles and our liver. Suppress cortisol, which is a stress hormone, that if there's excess cortisol, it can break down muscle tissue, not what we're after. Causes beneficial spikes in insulin. Remember we said insulin's a storage hormone. It transports carbohydrates to your muscles and liver, and also helps with AA, means amino acids, the building blocks. Remember your amino acids with the building blocks of your protein? In the protein lecture we talked about Lego blocks. So helps amino acids into your muscles when insulin sensitivity after training is high, and crucially stimulates increase in muscle tissue. Fantastic, isn't it? The research on carbs tells us that carbs eaten after training are used to replenish your muscle carbohydrate or stores, and rarely, if ever, gets stored as body fat, which is even more music to our ears, correct? Liquids may be used post-training as they increase absorption time. Okay, so that's great, because if they can get in quicker, they can be absorbed quicker. And hence the things with whey proteins, they're what we call pre-digested, meaning that your body doesn't have to work really hard to break them down. It's already done for us. But less important, once again, is if a pre-workout meal has been used, and it should be. So again, 1.5 hours to an hour before, have something small, work on it over time to enable optimal performance in the gym. Then it's not so critical that you get out of the gym and you have to swoosh down a drink. You remember, you've got that sort of 6-hour window between your pre-workout meal and your post-training meal. So start training at let's say 6 o'clock in the afternoon, so maybe 4 o'clock through 10 o'clock. This is the really important window with nutrient timing. However, those meals are not necessarily of greater importance than every other meal during the day. And eat simple carbs or high carbs if you prefer. The post-workout period is a time when quickly absorbed carbs can become acceptable. Normally you keep your sugars very low, but if you're going to eat them right after training with intense and exhaustive workouts, is a better time to do it. Vertago is a type of carbohydrate, specifically what athletes and bodybuilders would use. It's a very fast-acting carbohydrate. And I just want you to remember, it's about your goal. So if you're deconditioned and you're new to training, you haven't been training for more than sort of 12 months plus, then this bit here with high-energy carbohydrates may not be of such importance. But I want to remind you that the further you are advanced, it becomes even more and more important. If you're very consistent with your training, if you're very consistent with your eating, and your body transformation is critical, then the high energy carbohydrates may become more important. However, if your primary goal is fat loss and you struggle with weight loss in the past and carb intolerant metabolic issues, meaning that every time you eat carbohydrates or walk past a shop you feel like you're gaining weight, you may be more cautious with the high carbohydrates after training. So therefore, keep your foods close to nature, again, off the ground, off the tree, out the ground, swimming the ocean, walking the land, and control what you're putting in. Very little human interference. So the take-home stuff is this. If you miss a meal completely, don't stress out. It's not the end of the world. But get back on track quickly. Go back to structure. Don't use missing a meal as an excuse to abandon your schedule for the next day, the week or month. This is where people go wrong. They have one missed meal and then they turn that into 2, into 3, into 4, into 5, and then they wonder why the results aren't coming. One meal won't break you. One meal every day over a week will have a really detrimental effect. Habits are a powerful force. If you harness them to your advantage, however, whatever behavior you repeat on a daily basis, week after week, will become your new habits. If you eat haphazardly, apply the principles inconsistently, or follow the structure Monday through Friday only and then absolutely obliterate yourself over the weekend, you will never establish good habits and you will never obtain optimal results. Build consistency into your life. Remember, I've already talked about it today. 8 out of every 10, 9 out of every 10 meals has to be supplying your metabolism with the clean, precious, precise data it needs to elicit the responses you want. No nutritional spam. Nutrient timing is not just the 3 to 4 hours around your training. It's a 24/7 structure that fits your lifestyle and your goals. Optimizing the nourishment around training will enhance your results and your performance. Work with your pre and post training structure. See what works best for you. If you feel really distressed after eating in your training, need to extend the time. Not half an hour, not an hour, maybe an hour and a half before training. Put something in so you perform better. I personally believe this. If you're eating well-constructed meals, your protein, your carb, your omega-3 and 6, at each and every opportunity, then building the structure that works for you is the key. A high energy carb meal with proteins before training, half an hour, 1.5 to 2.5 hours before training. Then have your recovery drink as close to finish of training as possible. Then invest in another high energy carb meal with high end proteins once more within the hour and a half post training. So what that's saying there is have a bit of yogurt, some banana before you train. Let it absorb, store, feel good, get into your training, do your magic, and after training, sometime after, when you feel like, okay, I feel quite hungry now, I don't feel any nauseous or anything like that, have a good quality protein shake again, or some real food, some steak, some brown rice, some broccoli, some cauliflower, some carrot, a bit of olive oil, and allow the magic to happen. It's the fueling around your training and every other meal that will allow you the most abundant return on your investment. If you find eating a meal before training affects your stomach, try eating 2 high energy meals post training. So this is what it's saying. If you really struggle eating before, no matter how far you extend it out before you train, some of the data shows us this, that having a high energy meal, so having some brown rice and a chicken and broccoli after your training, and then another one if you're still hungry, an hour and a half, etc. after, then having a little more, potato or pumpkin, maybe some tuna and some beetroot and some cauliflower and some carrot, that's fine too. You have to trial some of these things that are going to work best for you. And that's the key. Keeping data, test and measure. You can't wing this. How can we go back through and look at, what worked for you if you're not sending me through pictures regularly and I'm not exposed to your food diaries? I can't tell what's working and what isn't because I'm not exposed to it. Nor can you. You have to learn to keep information so you can decipher what is working for you. You can't remember. I can't remember yesterday. So you're not going to be able to remember what happened 3 months ago. So make sure you keep records. Doesn't have to be war and peace, but it has to show you what you're doing. See what works best for you. That's the take home. Not what your girlfriend's doing, not what your work colleague's doing, not what your mum or dad's doing. What works best for you. Indeed, the best diet is not always the diet which is the best diet physically, but it's the diet that you can turn into a lifestyle that allows you to lose fat and keep it off forever because you learn how to incorporate all foods into healthy moderation. Dr. Lane Norton. Very well said. And here we are. We're at that question and answer time. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Any questions? Questions are critical. Make sure you're asking questions. If it's not making sense, you need to tell me. If something you're not quite sure whether you've nailed it, let me know. That's my job. I'm here to help you and support you 100% of the time. Remember, guys, Fusion, Fat Loss and Nutrition Transform You is a lifestyle program that will make everything come to fruition if you implement and take action. Until next week, put your head in, go through the presentation, tick box. What's working for you? What are you doing correctly? And find out what you're not. And implement some action that enables you to get the outcomes that you want. Remember, you're all doing fantastic. It's just day after day. Time, and replication. Until next week, guys, be safe.